Today, because I have been trapped in the Minnesota in January style of Icebreaker for 40 years. And that's esoteric, so I will explain. In northern Minnesota, everybody just fishes all the time. So in January, that means we hop in the truck, drive out on the lake, rev up the ice auger, break the ice by drilling a big hole, and then drop down a line. When the bobber gets stuck down that dark hole, we hand over hand the line till we get our fish, unhook him, toss him on the ice to freeze. When it's time to go home, we gather up all our rock solid fish into a bucket and carry them home for supper. As I was reflecting on my life, I really related to the fish in the story. Some little fish under the deep, dark, cold ice. And it's fine because there's lots of food and I'm happy. And it's totally fine. But sometimes above the surface, the wind starts to blow. And all of a sudden, the snow will be off the ice and I can peer through. And I look up and I see people out there having snowball fights and building forts and laughing and loving. And my heart says, that's where life begins. So all of a sudden I hear a rumbling. And sure enough, it's an icebreaker. There's a hole in the ice. The light is pouring in. And the next thing I know, there's a line right in front of me. And I grab hold and I'm being whisked towards the hole, through the hole, and out into the lights. And I'm so happy. I'm flopping around, I'm excited. And then I look around at all the people. And I realize, I don't know what to say to these people. I don't know how to build a fort. I don't know how to make snowballs. I'm getting stiffer and stiffer. And I say to myself, I'm freezing up. I'm gonna die if I stay up here. So I inch my way back over to the hole, just praying nobody will notice as I dive back down into the dark, deep, cold safety. And breathe a sigh of relief. And say to myself, that was the wrong hole. I don't belong in that hole. Shake off any kind of discouragement and set off for the next great icebreaker, well, to lead me to the place where I belong. And how this played out in my actual life as a human is I jumped around to 11 different colleges. I joined the Wisconsin National Guard, the Florida National Guard, the 82nd Airborne Division, the Army Reserves. I signed up as a radio operator, and before I even went to training, I switched to being an Army cook. Then when I went to Iraq, I switched to being a supply sergeant. But instead of doing that job, most of the time I went out as civil affairs and did those missions. When I got back from Iraq, I bought a big red truck and a 24-foot camper and traveled around so it would be easier to find that perfect icebreaker for me. And somewhere along the way, I also got my bachelor's in psychology, another bachelor's in nursing, did 10 years as a postpartum nurse in newborn nursery. Started a blog and abandoned it. Started a book and lost it. Had a few freelance clients in marketing. And might even be up to double digits in direct sales companies. And never really found out where I fit in. But somehow, despite all the shenanigans and jumping around at 45, I really have my dream life. It's kind of miraculous. But I've been married to Chris for 11 years, and he loves God, and he loves our country. He takes me fishing, and he wrestles with our kids. Our 3 kids are Wyatt, Aaliyah, and Alec, and they challenge me and humble me and inspire me beyond my wildest expectations of what parenthood was going to be. And then my job, I work in marketing, one of the majors I didn't have in any of my colleges, but a dream job. And my favorite marketing podcaster host is Ralph Burns, and now he's my boss. Aww. So I get to have conference calls with him every Tuesday. And my customers are a 5-time world champion jiu-jitsu fighter and just visionary entrepreneurs that are so exciting to work with. And I do it when I want and where I want because our agency is totally remote. So I work full-time and still get my kids off the bus every day after school. So over the years, through determination, I have developed little fin-sized legs of communication skills and connection skills to build a life above the surface. But in my heart, I still feel like the place I belong is down in the deep, dark, cold, separated from everyone and under that layer of ice just outside, looking in. So this, as I end my last icebreaker, I would like to declare that the next chapter of my life will be a season of ice melting. And I just wanted to thank all of you for creating this place of safety and encouragement and equipping to make it possible. Thank you.